I believe whoever can afford, again, it is not about financial affordability. Please remember, there are a lot of people today on earth who can afford money. What you can't afford is time. For me, time is money. The time you give to your family, the time you give to yourself, the time you give to your health, the time you give to the nature around you. If you can afford to do that, you are in the true fashion wealthy. Absolutely. Because you have a huge bank balance. Are you wealthy? I'm sorry, I beg to differ. My definition of wealthy is that if I am able to play with my grandchildren on my own without any help at the age of 70, 80, I would consider myself seriously wealthy. And I'm working towards it. What will my bank balance do at that stage if I'm not able to play with my grandchildren and I'm in bed?
Nothing.
Small example.
When did you get the idea to start? When did you get the idea to start this? And can you walk us through the journey of building this entire project?
Oh, that was a tricky one because when I came up with this idea, basically the idea was again to create a community where we can, where nature will dominate all of us. And there is nothing that we will do will overtake or overpower nature. So first and foremost, we managed to achieve that. And I remember going back to in the initial days when I went to my architect and I told him, this is my plan and this is my, he actually had a blank look on his face. Then very sheepishly and politely, knowing that I'm a client and he might offend me, sir, actually, if you don't mind, can I say something? I said, please go ahead. And he said, sir, I think your requirements are a little unfeasible because the scales are too large and this is not how we develop communities. Allow me to. And at that stage, I had to tell him that was I have come with a premeditated thought and I would kind of like to stick with it. I mean, small example, we've created a 2-acre park where minimum estate sizes are 20,000 going up to 45,000 square feet an estate. Logical question by my architect that, sir, why do you need a park 2 acres, that much area? I will give you saleable space. I will cut more estates and give you. I said, that's not the idea. The idea is that I want just a very limited edition number of families where there is large spaces, just nature. The eco balance is created. I told him I want a 2-acre lake. He was stoned. He didn't know how to react. He said, sir, after 2-acre park, you also want a 2-acre lake? I said, yes. And then I said, I also want a 2-acre clubhouse. And he said, sir, for 33 families, all of this? I said, yes. And he said, sir, it's not economically, financially viable. I said, I agree. But when did I say that I want an economically viable project? This is something I want to do out of my passion. And passion does not have quantification or value. He said, sir, if you insist. I said, no, there's no insistence. This is what I want. It's not a question of me trying to dictate anything. This is purely clearly what I want. He said, done, sir, I will do it. And that's how the journey began. I mean, today we have a road which can land a small aircraft just for 33 families. I mean, you can relate that this expanse to me is luxury. People who are becoming part of this are those who clearly resonate and connect with this. There are a lot of wealthy people that I have met who have tons of money in the bank balance. But they tell me, Prashant, great community, but we can't afford it. Why? Because we can't give time. Because for Frangipani, like I always say, is a way of life. And that money can't buy. Your philosophy can afford it. So that has been my journey with Frangipani, where we started on a very outlandish note, not knowing where this journey will go. But as each day passed, we kept building on it, keep developing. And yeah, the rest is what you see today.
Can you tell us about the time, like the first time you visited this piece of land? What it was then? Did you ever imagine that you are going to build a community like this on that kind of land?
So when I came to this location and why I bought land in this location at that point of time was out in the wild, kind of back of beyond in the wilderness, was because since I have been connected with nature from childhood, somewhere God has given me the energy and the power to kind of connect with the soil. And whenever I enter a piece of land, I get energies. I'm able to sense that yes, this land is good. Is it giving me positive energy or it is not giving me positive energy? There's no science behind it or maths behind it, though there are people who practice science on that. For me, it is just the belief that yes, coming here gives me a good feeling. So when I came to this location and when I saw this land, I love the topography of it. I like there was a huge rock in between, which we thought that we'll, in my head that I'll work around the whole community around the central spine of that rock, and that the whole flow of the land look very organic. It was a barren land. There was nothing. And I said, yeah, it gives me an open canvas and it makes things so much easier for me to play the cards the way I like. Because it's so much easier when you're given I mean, like you said, an artist, if you give him a blank canvas, he puts his creativity and passion at play. I think that's what I did.
How do you feel now that your painting is complete? When you enter this place, how do you feel? How does your heart feel?
Blessed. One word. Blessed. See, we human beings can try a lot of things and we can aspire and dream and aim and attempt a lot of things. But what without the blessings and the good wishes of our near dear ones, you can't achieve things like this. Trust me. I mean, I am taking zero credit for what you see here. Zero. I mean, I am just a facilitator. And I mean, I feel so blessed and thankful that today, whatever dream I had, whatever passion I had on this community, I have been able to achieve probably more than I had dreamt of.
So if you could just pinpoint maybe one or two things about like Frangipani, like what are your two, like maybe one or two favorite things about this community?
First favorite thing is the sense of calm that I get when I enter here. That's very unnerving. That's very discerning because people who have visited here also have commented that there is a very different level of silence that is the silence that speaks to you, the calmness that speaks to you. So that is my first. Number two is the natural environment that it has got created, the way nature has overwhelmed. You plant trees, you plant or you attempt to create an environment. I cannot take, because it's God's prerogative to create environments. I am only a facilitator, but today here it is that I've been able to create that environment. So my two strongest satisfactions as a take back is, from beginning I wanted that feeling of calm and that nature around. At every corner that I see, I should see only nature. That was my whole idea.
So Frangipani is a 35-acre development. Is there any reason you've chosen to build only 33 plots?
First and foremost, Adnan, we don't call these plots, we call them estates for a reason. The philosophy was, as I told you in the beginning, for me, space is luxury. So, what we decided is to create a critical size of minimum 20,000 going up to 45,000. And when we sat on the drawing board, we figured out that we came out with a total of 33. As much as my architect was keen to make it 50, and as much as they wanted to do at least 35, I said, see, this is not a number game.